My name is Penelope Chatterton. Welcome to Awaken the Dream. My friends, I have an Infinite Way friend today that I just met. Her name is Diane Doheny. She's from Exeter, New Hampshire, and I have to tell you, I don't know who discovered who, but we're in each other's lives and we're really excited about Joel Goldsmith's work. And so from there, we've been on the phone, we've chatted, and I have opened myself up to saying, if you are an Infinite Way student, please be in touch, because I'd love to have you on the show with me. So welcome, Diane. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you.
Who started this? Did you call me or did I call you? I think,
Spirit, you said.
yeah, Spirit. But whatever it was, you found me somehow, and then you were telling friends about it, and of which I just sort of shrugged things like that off, like we know about the private world of the Infinite Way and that we're not organized. We're mystics running around in disguise in an invisible world. We're not even in these bodies, you know, whatever that's about.
Yeah.
But I know that you have just put together a calendar for Acropolis Books. But before I go there, about how wonderful you are and what you do, can you
Let's go there.
Well, you can start there if you want, but I want to know how you got on the path with Joel.
Oh, good. Okay.
I mean, are you a Catholic background? Are you no background? Are you...
How long do we have?
well, not long, so no, 3 sentences or less.
Well, first of all, the way I found you, I think I Googled Joel, and I was always interested in people who were studying the Infinite Way.
Sure.
And you came up in your show, and I loved it. I loved your message, your book reports, as you called them, and I knew that you definitely had what I will call I guess it's the Infinite Way consciousness. So I felt very comfortable in sending you the calendar. Yes, we just completed, and we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
And as far as my background, yes, I was raised Catholic. The spiritual path, I think, probably began way back when I read a book called Jonathan Livingston Seagull. Remember that? That was my opening, I think, to
Happy Free.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I've done everything in terms of, New Age, metaphysical movement.
Did you just study on your own? You were
did.
a seeker by
I
nature.
I definitely was.
Did you still connect with the Catholic Church, or is it something
I grew further and further away from it, the ritualistic type of, dogmatic, type of setting.
Yeah.
And yet, when I look back, I've never removed myself from spirit. Spirit's always been there, whatever form it takes, whether it's, religion or classes or metaphysical. But someone who I love dearly, he's a teacher of the Infinite Way. His name is Ken Lazowski.
Yeah.
And I love his definition because he says that religion is the theology is the study of God. Religion is the worship of God. Mysticism is the experience of God. And I
beautifully said.
That was just, for me, a definition I could live by.
Yeah.
But anyway, I guess to bring to forefront here, The Infinite Way, I picked up the book Practicing the Presence. That was my first book.
Was it by accident?
It probably fell on the floor, as I say in the bookstore, but I don't.
Parenthesis in eternity hit me over the heads from somewhere.
Yeah.
And so isn't that interesting? You were, as Joel says, you're put on the path. You have no choice. You're on it, and you're going to stay on it, and you're going to be led. And that's what's so much fun about mysticism, is listening to that voice.
It is, and that word is so misunderstood today, mysticism, because it comes with a whole baggage, as does, unfortunately, the word God. I mean, it's just true. It's like, and then we divide ourselves in all these religious groups, and the very thing that everyone's seeking is that union with what we know as spirit.
Yeah, and opening the heart. And, we often don't hear that metaphysical people talk about feelings, but Joel does.
He does.
He does, even though he says the first breath or the presence, once in a while he'll sneak that word about how it feels. And I think the heart, I'm pretty convinced, the heart, opening the heart, prayers of the heart seem to just always be heard. It's like, that's where we're connected with who we really are. That's who we really are. It's in here.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because Joel really believed in that aloha spirit, living in Hawaii. And I recently had a chance to spend 3 weeks there and just loved every moment of it, because that aloha spirit is really love. That's what they're talking about, and that's when they greet you. And whether it's goodbye, hello, thank you, it's just, and I think Joel embodied that.
Yeah. Did you go through numerous authors and metaphysical teachers to take you? because I went to every one of them that was out there. I was just hungry
I know I was
from my
too.
Christian Science, because that set the seeds for metaphysics and for looking at it in a different way. But I just loved digging. And, you know, every path was perfect for the time that I was on it.
That's
with that
perfect.
movement.
That's perfect. That's true. In 1986, I was in a group, 30 people from all over the country, and we spent 9 months together in Marin County, California, with Shakti Gawain, who had written the book Creative Visualization, Living in the Light. I mean, Shakti was one of the first mystics, and I use that word liberally because I think Shakti really embodied the truth. And to take on a venture like that, to have people for 9 months studying spiritual principles. Yeah. So it's around the time of the harmonic convergence, which was in 1987, and I was out in Kauai at the time on an island there. And I just remember I just couldn't read enough, you know, but I did a lot of different programs and things, you know, I guess as you look back.
And each one took you somewhere else.
Where you were at the time.
When did you plunk on the Infinite Way world? Because you're on it now. You are.
I am.
That's your world.
Oh, it definitely is.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful.
Your flag is down.
Oh, so grateful to have found that. You know, so, and it's, I embrace all the paths, all the books, all the classes, the lessons, the people, places, and things. But there's something so definite and so solid within today that I found through the Infinite Way.
Yeah.
And I love being with Infinite Way people because we don't lose any time.
Yeah.
We pick up right at that beginning spot. So I did, I forgot what the question was.
Well, all the paths, how they led you to the Infinite Way and your commitment to, would you say the simplicity of Joel's work was what was such a major, you know,
was.
you got I am, is.
Right. That was big. That was huge for me.
Yeah.
To say that, and again, I'm very careful when I say this to someone, you know, that God and I are one. How can that be?
Yeah.
I mean, that was a big step to read in the practicing the presence, that he was saying that God and I are the same.
Yeah.
You know, that was an eye opener. It was like, you know,
Yeah. Can you swallow that?
Oh, it took a little while, and I even today will understand probably deeper and deeper that consciousness and what that really means.
Yeah.
I used to look for God out here, you know, and as a Catholic growing up, and nothing against the Catholic religion, but I grew up thinking that Christ was Jesus' last name. You know,
yeah.
and you didn't even say the word Christ. You know, you didn't talk about it. That was a swear.
Yeah.
And yet today, that energy, that Christ energy that is within us all,
Yeah.
connects people in such an amazing way.
Yeah, Jesus' gift was we all have it. And, you know, we're all begotten sons and daughters. But the simplicity, I wonder if our friends, we could discuss some of the principles of the Infinite Way, like the nothingness of our mesmerized plane, all the stuff we've been given as humans here. We're inundated with fear. It's a tough trip.
Right, and it's the opposite of trust.
Yeah.
Which is where we'll find spirit and God.
Yes.
It's really truly it's a paradox, I guess. But when I'm a counselor, so I work a lot with people, and I teach spiritual principles. I believe that's what I'm called to do.
Yes.
But I understand the nature of God according to the Infinite Way and according to the spiritual principles I think Joel lays out so simply.
He does.
And then to understand the all-important nature of error.
Yeah.
And that's where all our drama and all of the mesmerism, it's like a mesmeric pull.
Yeah.
It's a gravitational pull sometimes,
Yeah.
that we're drawn to that
Yeah.
humanness.
Yeah.
Can't help it, we're human.
Yeah.
And we have an ego.
Yep.
But we can't be an ego and spirit at the same time, I have found.
Yeah.
And I always say, okay, spirit, go before me. And throughout the day,
Yeah.
it helps just
Makes
to...
the crooked ways straight.
Oh, yes.
You know, Joel will talk about omnipresence, omnipotence, only one power, no good and evil. I mean, he's really, that's another difference he's brought around the metaphysical world. There was a time there where if you didn't want to manifest something, you had to look at the negative, where...
And fight it.
Yeah, and fight it.
Don't fight
yeah, do
anything
something to
in the end.
Mm-hmm.
fix it, where Joel is saying it's not there.
There's no fighting.
That's where I think my thrill is from coming from all of those paths. Is I need simple.
Right, right.
I need it because it's too overwhelming to think too much or to wonder if I've done the steps right.
Right.
You know, that kind of thing.
And I think when we start to question and go into why this, why that, that's the very resistance that keeps us from what is.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
And again, it's simplistic. It's sometimes too simple to explain.
Yeah, and you said something earlier which I really liked, Diane, about deepening. I mean, we'd like to think in our meditation one day we really have it, and we could. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, I'm sure you've noticed too, as you keep going within and going within, there's something about it gelling just a little bit easier each time because it just deepens.
It's what we've all been looking for. I really believe that. And I think that what I feel anyways, when we go within, the deeper that understanding becomes, we become that. Yeah. It's more of our everyday existence. But I think we have a daily spiritual reprieve. Yeah. Yeah. It's, we just don't arrive. Yeah. I think that it would be lovely to think that, but I think that most of us are on a path.
Yeah, we look for, in our meditation, the experience of being in the presence.
Yes.
Because that's the setup. That's where the ground is laid. And then we're on the path. And then those little fun miracles happen. I mean, funny things. I mean,
spiritual
really,
unfoldment.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's really, even fine, I went to the mall the other day. The chances of finding a parking space were, and I just kept saying, all right, I'm not falling for that. And the best one was waiting for me, and I know that's a silly parking space.
I relate
but
to that.
I laughed because I was lugging a monitor that weighed more than I did, of which they told me they could have gotten it. But nonetheless, I was just so blessed with how those little miracles.
We have a built-in GPS.
Yeah.
I like to say. And today, coming down here to see you, it was a 2.5-hour ride from Exeter, New Hampshire. And driving in directions have always made me a little nervous, although I've been cross-country 8 times. So I don't know what that's about, except that today I said, okay, Spirit, go before me. I'm supposed to be here at this time, and I love that GPS today. And I merge where I'm supposed to merge, and I yield how I'm supposed to yield. And that's, I think, to me, the secret of the infinite way.
It's a nice analogy to guidance, isn't it? Your GPS.
Yeah.
We should rename it.
Yeah.
God. Yeah, we'll have to.
Yeah, really.
We'll have to think about. We'll have some fun with that one.
Yeah.
So tell us about the calendar, because you are a producer. Are you manager? I mean, you've been really...
It's a good, it's a funny, we've talked
processor?
About the language is amazing, isn't it? It really is.
What are you?
Well, I think I'm a coordinator. I think I have directed the process.
I can see you have that talent.
Yeah, I just, it's been an amazing, amazing unfoldment. Once again, I was fortunate to go to Ken Lazowski's class in Paradise Valley, Arizona, and through meeting Michael Krupp, who is the president of Acropolis Books. He presented me with the idea, would you like to do a calendar? I am a photographer, so
I noticed.
Fell in.
A brilliant one.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It was just an unfoldment that I had no idea was going to take place, and then all I can do is just be grateful to the opportunity, and working with a lot of people behind the scenes that made that possible. And so the idea of the calendar was to not only introduce Joel to a new audience, but also for seasoned students to have a spiritual prompt each day, to know that we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
And so that the quotes come from the foundation of mysticism, which Joel, I know you know the story behind that, where he was asked to review the spiritual healing principles of the infinite way. And that really was comprised, all the recordings were edited, and that's what comprises that book.
Yeah. Well, your calendar is beautiful. I thank you for the gift. Now, I think on our lower thirds, we're going to be bringing up some addresses if people want to see it or find it. And you're working on next year's already?
We just completed it.
Oh dear.
As we speak, yesterday.
Time is flying.
Yesterday, we just completed the 2017 edition.
So you're really, really in a beautiful position to be working with these folks as a coordinator. And
it's a gift. It's really a gift. And I had the opportunity to be in Hawaii and to photograph right around Kailua, where Joel was, at that time gathering the information for this book. Yeah. So I met some amazing artists and photographers. Yeah. And I don't know if we have time for this, but
I bet we have.
You do? Okay.
I haven't gotten
this is a good story.
I haven't gotten the signal yet.
When I arrived, the place where I was staying, the woman came in just to see if everything was all set and so forth. And she looked, and on the table was a Joel Goldsmith, book. And she said, "Do you know Joel Goldsmith?" I said, "Yes, I do." And I told her about the calendar. She had never met anyone, but she'd been reading the books. Oh. So I gave her the calendar, and she cried.
She
and
did.
And it was like, That was a gift.
I was
Nice
blown
little
away when you
gift.
called me. It was like, what? I mean, really, I've been in my little cocoon for 25 years, but only maybe 5 or 6 in the last with Joel. And now, of course, that's where we're going. That's my commitment now. I feel the baton has been passed. I chuckle at my father and grandparents way back in the 1800s and all the Christian Science, of which Joel was a practitioner
Certainly
of 30
was.
years. I mean, and a businessman before that. I love the fact he was so kind, he actually could sell things because he didn't really want to. He didn't want to do it for the money. I mean, he was a really good guy.
Right.
And as we both know, his mom says, "You want to find God, Joel." And yes, he did. And you know, his story and the work that he had, working it, finding that presence.
Yeah.
And the day that he did go into that beautiful vortex and then he wept, and that was it. I mean, he knew.
Everyone on the path is, you feel that. Everyone's looking for the truth, I believe.
Yeah.
You know, all the teachers and all the people who followed Joel,
Yeah.
who to this day carry that message.
Yeah.
I really believe that they all entered looking for the truth.
Yeah. Being real, feeling, being open, accepting what comes to you. It took a while for me to actually get it, that everything that was coming to me was guidance. For a minute there, I was getting confused between my brain and my thinking. Can you help me with that?
Oh, I can.
Please.
Because I work a lot with clients,
Yeah.
and when they come in, they'll say, well, how do I know that intuitive voice?
Yeah.
And sometimes when I've worked with someone long enough, we can actually say that God consciousness. And, you know, it's, as I say, the truth always feels good.
Yeah.
We
That's a
hear
very
that
nice
click.
thing to hear.
Yep. We
I
hear
like-
that click. Do you remember how we used to talk about the
click or the deep
God's
breath.
on the scene.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think before I go out into the soil of my life, I want to make sure that I feel that. And there are days it's harder than others. Some days you're just right there. In the middle of the night sometimes when you need it. It's a beautiful time to accept
Absolutely.
the fact you have been caused. Someone loves you. Someone wants the best for you. Yeah, I love the fact that Joel often say the kingdom is yours, and God wants the very best for you.
Right.
And he knows what that is, which is why we get this mesmerized ego world out of the way so it can happen.
Absolutely.
We can stand in the way.
We can, and when we get in the way, it causes a separation. You know, that's what really, when I see people suffer, I think it's because they have separated from that part.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know if you know Virginia Stevenson, but she
I
was
don't
one
know
of the,
her.
No, she's a beautiful, I was just recently introduced to her, and she is a beautiful soul. She
right.
is filled with the grace of God.
Oh.
And I get emotional talking about her.
Oh, how nice.
She would say, you know, sometimes we all get involved with me.
Yeah.
You know, it's like be until there is no me.
Ah.
And to arrive at that meditative state when we have everything we need, and then to be able to enter into the human, you know, mesmeric world, I guess.
Yeah.
That's going to be everyone's, I don't want to call it struggle, but I think that's probably why we're here.
Yeah.
It's a mission.
We don't have to work at abundance, relationships. We don't have to slave over getting because the world says, hey, we got to do that. But just the simplicity of realizing the presence, knowing all good things will be added unto us without us sometimes knowing what that's going to be. The mystery of that,
Right.
I think, is pretty interesting.
It is.
It's
Trusting that too.
Trusting
that.
Yeah, that the best is there, and try and not get in the way.
I have a friend.
Surrender.
Yep, Denise Jutras, who, you know, Mystics of the World is her,
Yeah.
you know, we'll have that information later. She will say, Spirit, go before me, several times during the day. And when she told me that, I thought, I'm going to use that. And it really helped during the day.
Yeah.
You know, you're perplexed or you've
Yeah.
got to make a decision, and it's
Yeah.
like, okay, my ego wants me to do this. I can hear the chattering. And then it's like, okay, Spirit, go before me.
Yeah.
You know?
What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think I'll listen.
And, you know, and there's such a comfort in the protection. I mean, you're not alone. I mean, I don't care if you're in the most huge, warm family in the world or you're alone. We all have to do this work on our own.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's
the
comforting.
paradox, really.
Yeah, isn't it interesting?
Because you have to do it by yourself, but you can't do it alone. You know, that's where I think, again, the guidance to go within and finding that, you usually that comes from outside sometimes. It
Yeah.
might be a teacher, it might be a book.
Yeah.
It certainly for me was The Infinite
Yeah.
Way.
Yeah, what I love too about what Joel says, look, if you want it, you've got to give it away.
Yeah.
And everyone has something so unique to give. And that's where I want to do some teaching, because I think some folks can be a little confused as to, gee, if I'm here to do something special, I wonder what that is.
Right.
I mean, I do believe we all have something that's a gift. I don't care what it is, that makes our heart feel warm. As you say, it makes us feel good.
Right.
You know, it has meaning for us. And we serve. We're here
Right.
to make the planet better.
Right.
And to serve, we are our neighbors, etc. You know, we
Right.
are each other.
It's a tree of life, you know, we
Yeah.
are all the branches, and yet if we
Yeah.
know that source, and
Yeah.
that, you know, the tree of life is very symbolic in that
Yeah.
way.
Oh,
But I
yes.
think everyone's an individual expression, you know.
Yes.
But to bear fruitage, real spiritual fruitage, you need to know the source.
Yes.
And I think for us each day is to, you know, I begin my day with a meditation. And there's another group out there that gets together on a call. It's a meditation call. And they're Infinite Way students from all around the country. And so they're there on the phone in the morning for an hour.
Yeah.
And very little noise or chatter or talking going on.
Yeah.
And then the facilitator will come on and occasionally just mention, we are all one, and we are in this place to begin our day and to do world work.
Yeah.
You know?
Love thy neighbor. I was saying in that book on love from Joel about people are looking for their Christ. 2 minutes to go.
Oh,
2
okay.
minutes.
Wow, that was fast.
Folks are looking for their Christ identification from us.
Yes.
So no matter what
True
it looks
identity.
like, because we're all in various stages of growth and development, and that's the gift we can give the worst person you know.
Right.
You're going to show up and love them and see them for who they really
That's
are.
right. That's what makes us healers in the truest sense, or revealers, if we could use that term, because anyone within the realm of that consciousness feels and senses that. I think that's where
Yes.
healing comes in.
That's right. Yeah,
So
love
we're
thy
lucky.
neighbor.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
We're lucky.
Yes, we are. But I want to just thank Joel for the
Thank you.
lifetime that he had, and when it was over, he knew it, and he had done his assignment, and he's in the light, and who knows where he is or what he's doing, but he did something so incredible.
He really did. And
Yeah.
it continues, the message continues
Yeah.
today.
And the Infinite Way folks are growing by leaps and bounds. And that's exciting
That's
because
very
we're not organized,
No.
and we're private, and we don't advertise.
No.
It's like we're all wondering where the other ones are, but you know,
Right.
we're still, yeah, as you say, there are ways to join in thought
Absolutely.
and in knowledge and in peace. And thank you for coming on my show and for driving
Thank
this
you for
distance.
asking me. It was
And-
my pleasure.
And you're going to come back next week.
Okay,
so
great.
I'm going to check
Love
out.
Okay, great.
Thank you, my friends, for joining us on Awaken the Dream. We'll talk to Diane again soon.